Here are 35 sentences on the culinary history of Virginia. Virginia's rich culinary landscape is shaped by its strategic location between the Atlantic Ocean and the Mississippi River. The state has long been a hub for trade and commerce, attracting people from diverse backgrounds who brought their own cooking traditions. The earliest European settlers, primarily English, French, and Spanish, introduced staple ingredients like wheat, oats, and livestock to the colony. The Tidewater region's fertile soil and access to the ocean made it an ideal spot for growing tobacco, a crop that became a cornerstone of Virginia's economy. Tobacco's cultivation led to the development of traditional dishes like hamhocks and biscuits. As Virginia expanded westward, settlers encountered Native American tribes who taught them about local ingredients like wild rice, corn, and beans. The influence of African cuisine on Virginia's food is evident in dishes like fried chicken, which originated in West Africa. Enslaved Africans also introduced okra, hot peppers, and other spices that became staples in many Southern recipes. The transatlantic slave trade brought enslaved people from various cultures to the Americas, shaping the culinary identity of the region. In addition to its African roots, Virginia's cuisine was influenced by European traditions like French, German, and Irish cooking. French Huguenots introduced their love of cheese, charcuterie, and sauces to the colony. German settlers brought their expertise in brewing and baking, which became integral to Virginia's beer culture. The state's Scottish and Irish heritage is reflected in dishes like Scotch eggs, potato cakes, and colcannon. The introduction of oysters from the Chesapeake Bay led to the development of seafood cuisine, particularly oyster stew and fried oysters. The Chesapeake Bay also provided a rich source of fish, including catfish and perch. The colonial period saw the rise of trade with India, which brought exotic spices like cinnamon, nutmeg, and cumin to Virginia's kitchens. These spices added depth and complexity to traditional dishes like pepper pot soup and Virginia ham. The growing economy allowed for greater access to luxury goods like sugar and coffee. In the 18th century, Virginia's cuisine began to take on a more refined character. Influenced by European aristocracy, the colonial era saw the development of formal dinner parties, where elaborate feasts were served to entertain guests. These gatherings often featured dishes like roasted meats, game, and vegetables. The American Revolution marked a turning point in Virginia's culinary history. As independence was declared, the state began to develop its own distinct cuisine, separate from British influences. The rise of agriculture led to an increased focus on local ingredients, like corn, beans, and squash. After the Civil War, Virginia's cuisine continued to evolve, with the introduction of new crops and cooking techniques. The Great Depression had a lasting impact on the state's food culture, as resourcefulness and thriftiness became essential skills for cooks. In the mid-20th century, Virginia began to adopt more modern culinary approaches, influenced by national trends. In recent years, Virginia has experienced a renaissance in its agricultural industry, with a focus on local, organic produce. This shift has led to the rise of artisanal food producers and farm-to-table restaurants across the state. From artisanal breads to craft beers, Virginia's culinary scene is now more vibrant than ever. From traditional dishes like biscuits and gravy to innovative farm-to-table cuisine, Virginia's rich culinary history continues to evolve. As a result of its diverse heritage, the state's food culture remains a unique reflection of its people and traditions.